Yes, hello tradies. Welcome to the Air Raid Siren. Mitch and I get to rant about something not trade related. Hey, I just wanted to make this point, and I'd like to, on a semi-serious note, just flag that yes, I am a mate of Nathan's. But we haven't talked about this at all. In fact, as we heard in the main body, he completely avoided talking to me about it. So there's been no running commentary. But this is just how I view it as an outsider. And I like to think I'm professional enough to separate my friendships. This is just how I viewed it. I don't really like the process that Melbourne have run. And if I was a Melbourne member, which I'm not, I don't think I'd be happy with the way in which we have arrived at Stephen King as our coach.
I haven't heard a bad word about Stephen King, the appointment.
No. So, again, let me just...
I understand. You're talking about the process.
Let me just separate this. Stephen King may be the perfect coach for Melbourne, and there's a strong chance that Nathan wasn't the right candidate. All of that can be true. I only hear positive things about Stephen. When I speak to people at Geelong, people at Gold Coast, people who've played with him, people who've played under him. They all love him. So I hope and expect him to be a great coach. But when you go into the process with someone like Nathan Buckley, who every man and his dog, and I mean almost quite literally, I mean like Diva knew that Tasmania were interested in Bucks.
Yeah.
Wouldn't one of the first things you ask in the first interview is, hey, we know that Tassie is circling. What does that mean for you? And if his first answer is, well, yeah, no, I'm looking around at them too. Maybe it's, okay, well, we don't think that you're right to be in this process. Why wait until the last question of the last interview to bring up Tasmania?
Maybe they were hoping he'd bring it up and see where it could go.
It's not up to him to bring it up.
Naturally.
Not up to him to bring it up. It's up to them to bring it up. They're the one running the process. They're the ones that approach him, not the other way around. So it's just weird that you get to the last interview and the last question from Paul Guerra to Nathan Buckley is, if we were to offer you the job tomorrow, what would your answer be? That's a weird question. So
they asked it to Stephen King too.
Yeah, when you got down to the last two. So my question would be...
That's not uncommon in a job interview.
I think it is. You either offer someone the job or you're not.
No, but not that I've done a lot of job interviews, but what would this job mean to you? What would it mean tomorrow if you got this job? That's not an uncommon question.
That's different to if we were to offer you the job. Now, if you wanted to ask the hottest girl at school to the dance at the end of the year, just ask her. Like, don't go up and at the last second be like, hey, can you just let me know if I was to ask you, if you'd say yes? Because if not, I'm just going to go to someone else. It's a weird thing to do. So if Melbourne really wanted Nathan Buckley to be their next coach.
Did they though?
Well, I would say that they did. That would be my interpretation of the events. I'm sure Melbourne would say that they didn't because they're trying to protect the optics. If you really want someone to be your coach, you offer them the job and you make it attractive enough so that either Nathan doesn't take the Tassie meeting or he still takes it and he's still considering. And at that point you say, well, you got to pick, mate. And if he says, well, I don't know, okay, well, clearly it's not us.
So Melbourne's timeline the whole way through was prelim week. They said from the very start of this process, we wanted to coach by prelim final week.
Yeah,
they knew that
preliminary final.
They knew that Nathan Buckley was meeting with Brennan Gale this week. So why, if Bucks,
they knew that at the end because he told them.
But so why wouldn't they go away into their room and say, why don't we wait till next Wednesday?
Do you think that they picked Stephen King over Nathan Buckley?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, I don't.
You think it was on default because they didn't feel the Bucks was fully in?
Yep. I don't love that as a process. That's all.
So Bailey Smith's about to play in a prelim final this week.
Yes.
98,000 people, Geelong and Hawthorn. The whole incident with the photographer, I think in isolation, people are saying he should have been suspended or sanctioned.
Alison Wind, for those of you who don't know.
Who I've worked with actually as a young reporter.
Yeah, very well-known football photographer.
Very well respected in Geelong. You speak to any of the
and in the industry,
former Geelong players and their families. They love Alison.
It was an open media day, so the media had been invited to the club.
Yeah. Why on earth is Bailey Smith doing a massage that he doesn't want to be seen on the bench when they know that there's media there? So I was at the there was the famous Sorrento incident with the Western Bulldogs all those years ago, and players were at the beach and Bailey didn't like being filmed that day, and that's been well spoken about at the time. But it's not like the media just bobbed up out of the sprinkler that day and started filming. They were filming every Western Bulldogs player that day. Mitch Duncan was on the same massage table an hour earlier on the day that Bailey Smith was filmed. He didn't have an issue with it. Jeremy Cameron's one of the best players in the competition. He didn't have an issue with being filmed, nor did Patrick Dangerfield. So why is it any different to Bailey? I think it was really poor taste for him to flip out like he did and to only text her the next day rather than ring her that day and make Steve Hocking make the first point of call. In saying that, I don't think there's a world where you can suspend him for that. I just think everything that we've learnt this year around Bailey and the fireside chat with Andrew Dillon, I don't think he and an extension of the Geelong Footy Club have learnt a whole lot in that process. What was the point of that whole fireside conversation if we get into this stage before a prelim where Bailey doesn't want to cooperate? The whole point of the fireside chat was Andrew Dillon telling Bailey Smith, if you keep your head screwed on, you may not have to work another day in your life. You are so marketable. You are one of the biggest assets in the game. Just back us in here. We'll look after you. You look after us. And then in the space of the same season, he had a crack at Allison a couple of weeks earlier. We got a crack in an open field of play. Do the massage behind closed doors in your $60 million grandstand or whatever it costs. Like, they've got the facilities there. Do it inside before you go out into the field, and Bailey, run around with the rest of your teammates.
Yeah. I can't argue with anything you said. Clearly Bailey's behaviour is going to be a challenge for Geelong long term, I would think. The question is, has his openness about his mental health battles bought him more goodwill that he gets away with stuff like this? I guess that's the question. Because
I'm absolutely empathetic to what Bailey's been through, and it's been incredible to hear him speak about it. But it doesn't excuse you for what he did last week.
No, that's what I'm saying. So I'm totally with you. I'm asking why, because for me, and again, I'm a little bit conflicted just because I've known him for a little while, but for me, like, if that had been someone else, the outrage would have been more significant, right? So let's say, Hawthorn are training on Wednesday.
Yeah.
They've got an open training session at Waverley. Let's just say that was, I don't know, pick a player, Jai Newcomb. If Jai Newcomb had gotten up and just abused a photographer over the fence, it'd be a pretty big story.
Bailey was a pretty big story, though. We ran it second in the news.
Yeah, it was, but we excused it pretty quickly, didn't we? Anyway.
I think people have been pretty strong.
Yeah.
My point is,
I
don't think he can be. I don't know on what grounds you sanction him.
No, probably not.
For a game suspension or whatever. But Ringer, just don't do it in the first place. Like, just come on.
I don't want to speak on behalf of Bailey here, but I would assume if he was sitting in between us here and we asked about it and he was in the mood of sharing, I would assume that there would be a deeper story as to why he found that incident triggering.
Yeah.
Now, in no way, I just want to be clear, in no way does that excuse his behaviour.
Yeah.
Because you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
But
so Geelong need to get on the front foot and do the massage inside, and then
yeah, but that's sort of like that's taking a painkiller to mask what's really going on, isn't it? Doing it inside, because eventually, sometime between now and the end of his career, he's going to be snapped getting a massage, isn't he? He's a footballer.
Yeah. It just comes with the territory, though. Like, he's one of the highest paid players at the club and he's one of the highest profile players at the club.
Yeah, but he's a young man finding his way. He's going to make mistakes. And this was one of those. Wasn't a great week for the Cats, was it?
No. Looking forward to seeing how he plays in a prelim.
Are you going to be – will you be in full Nuff Zone Friday night?
No. That doesn't exist anymore.
I think there's still a bit of a cat in you. Wow, that came out wrong.
I got the dog in me.
Yeah. It's going to be a great game Friday. Baslinka v Guinea.
I just would love to see Will Day in that Hawthorn midfield to see a real proper shootout. If Geelong can curtail Jai Newcomb.
Curtail?
Is that the right?
Perfect. Yeah, I've just never heard you say that word. If they could curtail Newcomb, yep.
Spend a day with me and see what sort of vocab I roll with.
I assume you have a wonderful vocab. I'd be enamoured with it. My vocab
It's
at
funny.
times has felt
It's
elementary.
funny, Caro, working with Caro and having the drink post show last night, her vocab is incredibly.
Ridiculous.
The breadth of her vocab.
Spent a day with Jake Niall.
expansive.
I think the most
Jake,
intelligent
when I
person
read
I've ever come
Jake's
across.
copy, sometimes I read words that I have to Google or don't know exist.
He's got him and Gleese and Pete Ryan have amazing vocabs. By the way, if you haven't read Pete Ryan's column on Bailey Smith, because Pete was there,
Yeah.
go and read it. It's Pete doesn't come off the long run very often, and he just I thought he enunciated it perfectly, very balanced. So make sure you go and read Pete's copy. All right, that does us for the Air Raid Siren. We'll see you next week.